Okay, so welcome to the very first step in purchasing a home. This here is the pre-qualification form. Now, I often get asked, what's the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval? Well, I'm going to show you right now. So when you submit your documents into the mortgage professional, it's going to consist of lines 25, 26, 27, 28. And this is where the lender shows what documents have been submitted. So in this case, we do have paycheck stubs and we do have W-2s. Personal tax returns are not applicable and corporate tax returns are not applicable. Down payment and reserves documentation, yes, we have that. Gift documentation, is the buyer, are they receiving gifts from a relative, a family member? In this case, not applicable. Credit and liability documentation, yes. And borrower is non-contingent on selling a home, yes. So when we talk about pre-approval versus pre-qualification, this is what we're talking about. Now, as a listing agent, when I receive this document on a listing that a buyer has submitted a purchase offer to, I come to this and say, what documents are into the mortgage professional? And in this case, it turns out that all of these documents are in, and this mortgage professional has then now taken this file into underwriting and verified all assets, paycheck stubs, income, W-2s, and now this is a more qualified buyer. So first name will go up here. If there is another buyer, a spouse, they'll go up here. Then their signatures with the date right here. Okay. Now the mortgage professional will ask you the questions: married, buyer, type of loan, occupancy, property type, and lender completed a verbal discussion with the buyer, including a discussion of income, assets, and debts. Also, lender obtained a tri-merge residential credit report. So this is what we look at right here when we talk about the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. Although they're on the same document, one outweighs the other because of all the documentation that's already been submitted to the mortgage professional, and that mortgage professional has then sent it into underwriting, creating a stronger buyer portfolio to submit with your offer. So when we go over the documents of what is included in a real estate transaction, this is what we're talking about when we talk about pre-qualification versus pre-approval. Now, as a listing agent, when I get a buyer's purchase agreement sent through to me, again, this is what I look for. If I don't see any of this stuff, I know that that buyer is not serious or they have not submitted the necessary documents, and therefore I don't want to get into an escrow process with a buyer who is not going to be qualified and ultimately make it into the finish line. So pre-qualification versus pre-approval, what does that mean? It simply means that these documents here were submitted into the mortgage professional. That mortgage professional has now taken them into underwriting, and we have a very strong buyer portfolio that we now can submit to the listing agent. So when you and I sit down on the buyer's side and we talk about pre-qualification, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to get you in touch with one of our lenders, our mortgage professionals. They are going to pull your credit. They're going to obtain documents. We are going to submit this portfolio right here into the mortgage professional, and he or she is going to give us a pre-qualification form. And now we know how much the loan is and how much our payment is and how much we can afford on the property. In this case, I just blacked these out because this is a current, as you can see, in August. This was a pre-approval that we use. So I just blacked out the information. But now you get to understand what it's like to know the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. So this is just one more step that we can make our buyer portfolio stand out amongst the rest. And now we are a very secured buyer. So stay tuned for the next video.